After 3 years, Fiancée dumped me for being too poor. Then I found her laughing in parents' living room with brother. So I let them sink in debt. My mother said the family party had been cancelled, but when I arrived, they were celebrating without me. So I surprised them with something they would never forget. Logan, 29, works as an EMT in Minnesota. I don't have the most glamorous work, but it pays the bills and saves lives. I am not trying to sound like a hero. I am simply presenting facts. For 3 years, I was with Samantha. This marketing executive I believed was the one. We were engaged, and everything was fine until it wasn't. Samantha dropped this bomb on me around 8 months ago. I don't think this is working anymore. When I asked her to explain why, she evaded the topic for about an hour until we had a few shots in us. At last, she told the truth. I just don't see myself with someone who's, an EMT forever. I thought you'd go to med school eventually. My friends are all with doctors and lawyers, and I'm with, well, you. I'm not going to lie. That hurt. I mean, I was thinking about paramedic school, which would increase my compensation, but medical school was never an option. I told her this from the beginning. But, whatever. People want everything they desire, correct? Here's when things get tangled. My family, including my older brother Brandon, the golden child and investment banker, my younger sister Tessa, Daddy's beautiful princess, and my parents were all quite supportive. She wasn't good enough for you anyway, Logan. You're better off without her, son. Now you can find someone who appreciates you. They even urged me to break up with her before she could end things. Dad gave me a long speech about being a man and ending things on my terms. So I did. I officially ended things and moved out of our apartment. Moving back to my old room at my friend's house sucked, but at least I kept my dignity, right? That's what I thought anyway. However, in the weeks following the separation, small details began to feel odd. I'd mentioned Samantha in passing, like how I still needed to remove her name off the apartment lease, and my mother's voice would sound strange, strained, as if she didn't know what to say. Tessa once joked, "Well, Liv's always been good at landing on her feet." But when I inquired what she meant, she quickly changed the subject. I did not give it much thought. And for months afterward, I continued to pay my parents $500 every month to help with my father's medical expenditures. He has diabetes but refuses to treat it correctly, always eating whatever he wants, skipping appointments, and working. I'd care Tessa's child, Riley, twice a week so she could maintain a social life as a single mother. The kid is 4 and really cool. It's not his fault that his mother is a piece of work. I even helped Brandon move into his swanky new downtown condo, taking 2 days off work to pack and lug his belongings while he was too busy closing deals. My back was sore for a week after that. But the relocation day resulted in more than just sore muscles. When we finished, Brandon ordered takeaway for everyone as a reward, or so I thought. Brandon, Tessa, and a handful of his co-workers sat around his beautiful kitchen island. One of his buddies joked, "Hey Logan, do you get a discount on an ambulance ride if we pass out from all these drinks?" I laughed it off, but Brandon did not. He leaned back in his ridiculous fancy chair and said, "Nah, Logan's just the guy who drives the truck. You need a real doctor for discounts. Maybe in his next life, right bro?" It was a joke, but not really. Everyone laughed but me. Tessa laughed the hardest, as if it was funny that her brother saves lives yet isn't successful enough. I wanted to say something, but what was the purpose? It would merely make me appear sensitive. So I swallowed it, smiled, and released it. But I did not forget. Brandon had made me feel like the family charity case before, but it was the first time it felt like I wasn't just the EMT brother, but the inferior brother. The person who drives the truck. But I continued to be a decent son. The reliable brother. The helpful uncle. Just like I had been since I was a child. And this is how it has always been, right? When we were younger, Brandon got new clothes and I got his hand-me-downs. Tessa received dance and gymnastics lessons, while I was advised that sports were too expensive after Brandon's baseball equipment depleted the funds. My parents skipped the high school science project award event because Brandon had a college interview. They have framed photos of Brandon in his suit at his finance job and Tessa at her graduation, but the only one of me in the house is from a family vacation when I was about 12. There was one incident that always stuck with me. Senior year, I was nominated for a statewide EMT scholarship. It was a significant deal that only 5 applicants from Minnesota were chosen for final interviews. My parents promised to come with me and show their support. But the night before, Brandon called. His employer was hosting a networking event, and he needed mom and dad to attend. I ended up attending that interview alone. I didn't even receive a good luck text from them. Later, I discovered that they had spent the night rubbing shoulders and fawning over Brandon's promotion to junior analyst. When I brought it up, Dad simply replied, "We have to prioritize, Logan." I suppose their priorities never included me, but I kept telling myself that this is how family is. Not everyone gets equal time in the spotlight. And to be honest, I was fine with being the steady, reliable one. The one people could rely on. I assumed that counted for something. Last Christmas, my mom sent me a message. "Logan, honey, we're canceling Christmas dinner this year. Your father's medical bills have piled up, and we just can't swing it. We'll do something small in January to make up for it. Love you." I instantly felt guilty. The holidays are Mom's favorite time. She goes all out with the decorations and cuisine, as if there are full-fledged Christmas explosions in that house every year. Trees, lights, and small village houses. Full mode. I called her back and offered to pay for the entire thing. Even host it at my home. It isn't big, but we can make it work. No, it's fine. We'll just have a quiet Christmas this year," the woman replied. She sounded strange on the phone. Distracted. A few weeks before Christmas, Tessa texted me, "We're still good for Thursday night, right? Bring the snacks." That was it. When I confronted her about it, she dismissed it and stated it was intended for a friend. Strange, but I didn't think much of it. Later, however, I continued to wonder. Thursday night, for what? And why ask me to bring refreshments when we weren't planning any gatherings? I brushed it off, but it stuck in my mind. A slightly odd note in an otherwise predictable tune. On Christmas Eve, I planned to stop by with some gifts and possibly takeout. I felt I could at least drop off gifts and maybe bring them some Chinese food or something. My parents reside in a small house in the suburbs, and I've been helping them maintain it since my father became ill. I mow their grass in the summer, shovel snow in the winter, and repaired their damaged roof last year. As I parked onto their street, I noticed something strange. Automobiles queued up along the curb, and not just any automobiles. Brandon's Tesla, for which he is underwater on payments but refuses to admit it. Tessa's Range Rover, which her ex purchased her, is another story for another day. My aunt and uncle's Audi. What the heck? I parked and cautiously walked up to the house, a sense of dread developing in my stomach, as if I knew I was going to see something I couldn't unsee. Through the large front window, I could see the dining room table set with beautiful china that they only use on holidays, the Christmas tree completely decorated, and people mixing with glasses in their hands. But that wasn't what made me stop dead. Samantha, my ex-fiancée, was there in our living room, laughing and stroking my brother's arm. And my sister was right next to her, showing her something on her phone, and they were both giggling like best friends. For a brief moment, I felt I was hallucinating, as if I were experiencing some sort of stress-induced breakdown. But no, it was real. My ex, who dumped me for not being successful enough, appeared at my family's Christmas dinner, which was allegedly canceled due to financial difficulties. I must have waited there for at least a minute, trying to digest this treachery before ultimately ringing the doorbell. My mother responded, and her countenance changed from joyful cheer to, "Oh no," in just a second. "Logan, what are you doing here?" "I thought Christmas was canceled," I remarked, my voice strangely strained. "Money problems, right?" Over her shoulder, the gathering became quiet. I could see my father looking uncomfortable, Tessa and Samantha whispering, and Brandon, the arrogant jerk, smirking at me without even trying to hide it. "Oh," my mom said. "We managed to pull something small together last minute. Just family and a few friends." "Friends?" I asked, looking straight at Samantha, who had the grace to appear ashamed. "That's what we're calling her." "Now?" I could see my mother trying to figure out how to spin things. She's usually brilliant at rewriting reality to make the family appear good, such as when she told everyone Brandon received a scholarship to his private high school when it was actually paid for by my grandparents, or how she tells people I haven't found my career yet, despite the fact that I've been an EMT for 7 years and genuinely enjoy my work. "Logan, honey, why don't you join us?" "There's plenty of food," she replied, attempting to make things seem like a little mistake rather than a full betrayal. I looked past her to the table full of individuals who claimed they couldn't afford Christmas dinner this year. The table I was not invited to. I could hear everyone chatting quietly, my aunt asking my uncle what was going on, my cousin already texting someone about the drama, and Tessa leaning closer to Samantha as if she was sheltering her from me or something. Brandon stood there with that silly smirk, as if he had won some sort of reward. I've never felt so surprised in my life. I knew my family didn't regard me as much as Brandon or Tessa, but this was the next step. They basically omitted me from Christmas dinner in order to arrange a meeting between my ex and my brother. Who does this? My mother was still standing there with a phony smile, holding the door open as if I could still enter and participate in their little act. We could all pretend that this wasn't terribly messed up. "Logan, come in, it's freezing out," she pleaded, as if the temperature was the most serious issue here. I noticed she was wearing the earrings I purchased her for her birthday, which I had saved for 2 months. And my father was wearing the watch that I repaired for him after he dropped and damaged it last year. I spent hours watching YouTube tutorials to learn how to repair it myself because I knew he cherished that watch. All these subtle reminders of how much I had done for them, how much I cared, all while they were preparing to stab me in the back. Part of me wanted to turn around and walk away, retaining whatever dignity I had left. But another part of me, tired of being trod over, pushed forward. I needed answers. I needed them to admit what they had done. So I stepped inside, surrounded by the family that evidently did not believe I deserved to be part in their vacation. "Actually, I think I will come in," I responded, watching my mother's fake smile fade as she realized this wasn't going to go as planned. As I went in, I was overwhelmed by the fragrance of turkey and pie, all of which Mom prepares every year. Food she allegedly couldn't afford to prepare this year. I could feel everyone's gaze on me as I entered the dining room. Some appeared guilty. Some people appeared annoyed. But nobody seemed surprised. They all knew. Every one of them was aware that I had been purposefully omitted. That's when I understood that was probably not the first time. How many additional family reunions had occurred that I was unaware of? How many times had they gotten together without me, convincing themselves that it was fine because Logan wouldn't mind or Logan was too busy? The concept made me feel ill. All these years, I'd been adjusting my schedule and working extra shifts to aid them financially, but they'd been excluding me from their lives whenever it was convenient. And now they've invited my ex, the lady who had broken my heart, to Christmas dinner. I didn't just invite her. I also hooked her up with my brother. My own blood. The room was completely silent now. You know the awkward silence in movies when someone interrupts a party? It was just like that, but this was my family's home. That I helped pay for. "Someone wants to explain what the hell is going on?" I asked them. My father attempted to take control of the situation. "Now Logan, don't make a scene. We were going to tell you about this after the holidays." "Tell me what exactly? That you're hosting a Christmas dinner for everyone but me? That my ex-fiancée is apparently family now?" My aunt appeared uncomfortable. At least my uncle became really interested in his mashed potatoes. My cousin was obviously recording everything on her phone. Brandon stepped forward, one arm wrapped around Samantha's waist. "Look bro, Liv and I connected at the gym a few weeks ago. It just happened. You guys were over anyway." "A few weeks ago? We broke up 8 months ago." Samantha gazed down at her shoes. "Well, actually." And that's when it clicked. Brandon was continuously asking about my relationship troubles, how he unexpectedly began going to the same gym as Samantha around March, how my family pressured me to end my relationship with her. I inquired, my voice dangerously soft. "How long?" No one responded. My mother was looking at my father. My father was looking at the floor. Tessa rolled her eyes. "How long?" I exclaimed. I never yell, so when I do, everyone pays attention. Tessa rolled her eyes again. "God, you're being so dramatic. They've been talking since last summer before you guys even broke up. But it's not like they did anything physical until after. Last summer." Samantha kept hinting that the engagement ring I got her wasn't dazzling enough, so I worked double shifts to save up for a larger one. While I was busy helping accident victims and heart attack patients, she was texting my brother. My family knew. I looked at my parents. "And you knew about this?" My mother had the guts to say, "Honey, we thought it would be better this way. Brandon and Samantha have so much more in common. They're both ambitious. And you know how you've always struggled with, well, finding your path. I've been an EMT for 7 years. I save lives every damn day. I've helped deliver babies, kept car crash victims alive until we reached the hospital, performed CPR on drowning kids and brought them back. But because I don't wear a suit or make 6 figures, I'm struggling to find my path. So you excluded me from Christmas to set them up. To protect me from finding out. We were going to have a small dinner with you tomorrow, my dad told me. Just us. The leftovers. The afterthought. The consolation prize. Story of my life. My aunt attempted to alleviate the issue. Logan, honey, why don't you grab a plate? There's plenty of food. Are you serious right now? You think I want to sit and eat with these people? My backstabbing brother? My ex who's apparently been cheating on me with him? And my family who lied to my face about all of it? Don't be so sensitive, Brandon advised. It's not like you and Samantha were going to work out anyway. She needs someone who can provide the life she wants. And that's you? I asked, laughing. Mr. Up to his eyeballs in debt? The guy who's one bad quarter away from losing his condo? Yeah, real provider material there, bro. Brandon's cheeks turned red. He despises it when people point out that his financial status isn't as stable as he claims. That's enough, my father said. But I was only getting started. Number I want to know. I want to know why my family decided I wasn't good enough to be included in Christmas, but my cheating ex-fiancé was. I want to know why you all lied to me. I want to know why, after everything I've done for this family, I'm still the one who gets kicked to the curb. I can't recall what I said next, but I know I let loose. Years of bitterness about Brandon getting a car for his 16th birthday while I received a second-hand bike. They attended all of Tessa's dancing recitals but missed my EMT graduation because Brandon needed to attend a networking event. How I've been paying their bills, babysitting, and helping out while they planned behind my back with the woman who dumped me because I wasn't successful enough. It all came gushing out like I had unlocked a fire hydrant. Years of feeling neglected. The afterthought. The backup plan. The person they only contact when they need something fixed or paid for. Do you know how many holidays and family gatherings I've attended after working a 12-hour shift? How many times have I driven straight from dealing with actual life or death situations to be here for you? I skipped my closest friend's wedding to attend Brandon's business school graduation, used my vacation days to assist Tessa with her relocation after her ex kicked her out, and refinanced my car to help with Dad's medical payments. So this is how you repay me. My mother began crying, which is her go-to response when she loses an argument. We never meant to hurt you, Logan. We just thought. You just thought I wouldn't find out? Or that I'd forgive you anyway because I always do. Because good old reliable Logan never holds a grudge, right? Logan's too nice to cut off his family no matter what they do? Brandon, the pompous twit, stepped up, his sneer still visible. Dude, chill. It's not our fault Samantha realized she could do better. Some people are meant to be workers and some are meant to be leaders. You've always been a worker. Nothing wrong with that. Something within me cracked. I lunged at him, grabbed his pretentious cashmere sweater, which I'm quite sure is phony, and pushed him against the wall. You entitled piece of, he tried to shove me away, but those investment banking arms weren't much use against someone who carried unconscious people out of burning buildings for a career. I wasn't actually going to hurt him. I just wanted to wipe the smug expression off his face. Get off me, you psycho, he exclaimed. My father attempted to separate us and received an elbow to the face for his efforts, not from me, but from golden boy Brandon, who was writhing around like a kid having a tantrum. That's when things truly got crazy. My father, clutching his bloodied nose, turned on Brandon. What the hell is wrong with you? You hit me over this? Brandon, Daddy's favorite, looked stunned. It was an accident. Logan attacked me. But my father wasn't having it. For the first time in my life, he looked at the problem with clarity. You've been seeing your brother's fiancée behind his back after all Logan's done for this family? I was just as startled as everyone else. My father never sides with me. Like, never. When we were kids and Brandon wrecked my things, it was always, Logan, don't leave your things where they can get broken. When Brandon got the automobile and I received nothing, it was, Logan, your brother needs reliable transportation for his internship. You can take the bus. My mother leaped in, always prepared to defend her darling firstborn. Don't act like you didn't know, Robert. We all agreed this was for the best. Brandon and Samantha are perfect for each other. And just like that, 30 years of marriage ended there in front of the Christmas tree. My parents began screaming at each other. Apparently my father had only grudgingly agreed to this entire arrangement, and now he was furious that my mother had organized it all and made him complicit. I never wanted to lie to Logan. This was your idea, Margaret. Oh, now it's all my fault? You were fine with it last week when I suggested it. I was not fine with it. I said we should be honest with him. I backed away from the turmoil, and everything became crystal clear. The yelling continued, with my aunt trying to mediate, and my uncle looking like he wanted to be anywhere else. My cousin was still recording everything on her phone, perhaps thinking about how many likes she'd get on social media. Samantha stood awkwardly to the side, as if she were regretting all of her life decisions. Good. She should. Tessa was, of course, making it all about herself. Great. Now Christmas is ruined. Thanks a lot, Logan. Typical. I didn't lie, cheat, or exclude anyone from Christmas dinner. But somehow reacting to it makes me the bad guy. I just stood there, watching everything unfold, feeling strangely disconnected from the situation. As if I were watching a film about someone else's chaotic family. My aunt attempted to salvage the situation. Maybe we should all just sit down and have dinner. Everything seems worse on an empty stomach. Aunt Linda believed that eating could solve any problem. This was not something that mashed potatoes and turkey could solve. My father grabbed his coat from the hook by the door. I'm not staying here. This whole thing was a mistake from the start. My mother looked stunned. Where do you think you're going? Out. I need some air. It's Christmas Eve. I'm well aware of what day it is, Margaret. I'm also aware that we just destroyed any relationship we had with our son, and you don't even seem to care. He stared at me then. For what seemed like the first time in years, he looked at me intently. Logan, I'm sorry. I should have put a stop to this from the beginning. Too little, too late. But at least it was something. He walked out and slammed the door behind him. My mother stood there, startled, as if she couldn't believe he had truly left. Now look at what you've done, she told me. Because obviously this was all my fault. Brandon, always the opportunist, saw an opportunity to be the hero. I'll go after Dad. Make sure he's okay. Tessa joined in. I'll help you clean up, Mom. Logan clearly isn't going to stick around to help. They were immediately altering the narrative. They were acting like good, helpful youngsters, while I was the troublemaker who destroyed Christmas. It was so predictable that I nearly laughed. You're right, Tessa, I'm not sticking around. I looked at my mother. And I'm not coming back. Don't be ridiculous, she remarked. You're upset, I understand, but we're still family. No, we're not, I replied gently. Families don't do this to each other. I walked away, ignoring my mother's calls. Ignore Samantha's pathetic apologetic effort, ignoring everything. Outside, I spotted my father sitting in his car, staring straight ahead. For a split second I considered approaching him, but what could I say? He may have eventually stood up for me, but he had gone along with the whole thing until it blew up in his face. So I got in my car and drove away, leaving behind the debris of what I had thought was my family. When I came home, I turned on my phone just long enough to send a text to my supervisor requesting some extra shifts for the holidays. Then I blocked everyone's numbers save my father's. I wasn't ready to talk to him, but I also didn't want to cut him off totally. I spent Christmas working a double shift at the hospital. Helped save a child who choked on a new toy. I held an elderly woman's hand as she took her final breath. I cleaned up vomit, blood, and other bodily fluids. And you know what? It was still preferable than spending another minute with individuals who claimed to love me but treated me as if I were nothing. That night, I returned home to my dingy flat and ordered Chinese food. I ate it on my couch while watching Die Hard, which is a Christmas movie. And for the first time in years, I wasn't under constant pressure to be available, to aid, to improve things for everyone else. It was just myself, some lo mein, and Bruce Willis. And it was the nicest Christmas I had in a long time. The texts and calls continued for the next few days. I did not read or listen to any of them. I was not prepared to deal with the inevitable gaslighting and guilt trips. My father did send one SMS, which I read. I moved out. Staying at the Marriott downtown for now. I'm sorry, son. Truly. I did not respond. But I did not block him either. The following few weeks were a storm. My parents parted, and Mom blamed me fully. If you hadn't shown up unannounced, everything would be fine. Brandon and Samantha were officially dating now. Tessa propagated reports that I had rage issues, which was why Samantha left in the first place. The calls and texts began to come in steadily. I did not respond to any of them. Instead, I made some of my own calls. To the mortgage firm, cancel the automatic payment from my account. To my credit card company, deleting my parents as authorized users. To my lawyer, ensuring that my name was removed from any loans I had assisted them in repaying. Then I sent a group message. You can now kiss your personal ATM goodbye. Figure your own stuff out from now on. The reaction was nuclear. My phone blew up with calls and messages. You can't just abandon your family after everything we've done for you. I need that money for Riley's preschool. Your father's medical bills won't pay themselves. I must have received 50 messages inside the first hour. I've read them all. then blocked them all. Every single one. It was honestly rather liberating. The flying monkeys began to emerge from the woodwork. My aunt called to tell me how upset she was with my actions. My uncle texted that I needed to be the bigger man. My cousin posted a vague Facebook status about family is everything that was definitely intended for me. I also blocked them. 2 days later, Tessa and Riley arrived at my flat, evidently expecting me to accept my nephew. Even she thought using a 4-year-old as a shield was a little low. She explained that she needed me to watch Riley that weekend because she had a date with a guy who could be the one. I crouched down, handed Riley my phone to keep him happy, and then turned to Tessa. I reminded her that when I worked night shifts and requested for help relocating, she said she was too tired from being a mother but then posted club images the same night. She rolled her eyes, dismissing it as just one time. I brought up how she ignored my concerns about Samantha, told me I was being paranoid, and then helped Samantha and Brandon hook up without my knowledge. She snapped that it wasn't fair to claim they had a genuine connection. I kicked her out and warned her not to use Riley as a prop again. It was horrible. On her way out, she took one final shot at me, calling me mentally unstable and stating she was worried about me. Tessa's style is classic. She'd been gaslighting me since we were youngsters, damaging my Xbox controller and blaming me for leaving it out, using my credit card without permission because I owed her, and telling Samantha about my insecurities as just girl talk. The next day my father called. I almost didn't answer, but I did anyway. He seemed exhausted, stating he wanted to apologize for Christmas and everything. He acknowledged that he and my mother had split, and were filing for divorce. I was aware of this before to his statement, yet it threw me off guard. 30 years together. I never imagined he would truly depart. He claimed Christmas made him understand what he had been ignoring for years, how my mother treated me, how she favored Brandon and Tessa, and how he had tolerated it for far too long because it was easier than battling. He was not asking for forgiveness. He just wanted me to know that he was trying to improve his therapy and figure out how he got here. At least he was truthful. He said my mother was telling everyone that I abandoned the family and cut her off financially out of malice. He corrected her, saying it wasn't out of spite, but rather my setting boundaries. It astonished me. Dad sticking up for me was not something I was accustomed to. He apologized again, claiming he had not been the parent I deserved. I wasn't sure how to answer. Part of me wanted to forgive him, but another part remained too raw. I informed him that I needed time, and he understood. He asked if we could have coffee when I was ready. Maybe, I said. But no promises. After we hung up, I sat on my couch, thinking about everything. I wasn't ready to accept any of them back into my life, but I chose not to block my father's phone number. It was not much, but it was something. A month after Christmas, I received a registered letter from a lawyer. I had a brief moment of terror, thinking my family was going to sue me or something. But it was really about my grandmother's estate. She died 5 years ago, and left me a tiny bequest, which I had no idea about. Apparently my mother had been handling things for me. My father had engaged a lawyer as part of the divorce proceedings. He discovered that my mother had used my inheritance to pay for things like Tessa's automobile and Brandon's business school. I was enraged yet again. It wasn't a large sum, perhaps $155,000, but it was the idea of the thing. My grandma intended me to have the money, but my mother stole it to give to my siblings. I called the lawyer and gave him permission to retrieve what he could. Then I called my father. "Did you know about Grandma's money?" "No," he replied. And I believed him. "I only found out when we started splitting up the finances. Your mother had an account I didn't know about. When I pressured her, she admitted what it was. She stole from me, Dad. From her own son." "I know. I'm so sorry, Logan. I've told her she needs to pay you back, but she doesn't think she did anything wrong," I said for him. "Because it's always been like this. What's mine is theirs. But what's theirs is theirs." "I'm afraid so," he said. "But I'm going to make sure you get what's owed to you even if it has to come out of my half of the divorce settlement." That made me weep up a little. For the first time in my life, my father prioritized my needs over those of my brothers. "Thanks, Dad," I replied. Maybe something good could come out of this whole mess after all. It had been 4 months after the Christmas catastrophe. I moved to Colorado in search of a better paying job with a mountain rescue squad. I purchased a modest cabin that needs work, but it is mine. I'm dating a veterinarian called Rachel, who thinks what I do is awesome and proudly introduces me to her friends. My family's financial position appears to have collapsed in the absence of my help. My aunt called the only family member I hadn't blocked to inform me that my mother needed to downsize to an apartment. Brandon was irritated that he had to loan her money. Tessa had to find a full-time job rather than the part-time job she'd been doing while I offered free childcare. Oh, and Samantha dumped Brandon after 3 months when she discovered that his investment banking career was not as prominent or lucrative as he had led her to believe. It turns out he's merely a glorified account manager who lied about his salary and position to impress. The karma is real. But Samantha popped up on my porch in Colorado last month. I have no idea how she discovered my address. It was most likely through a mutual friend. She was in tears, mascara running down her cheeks, and looked nothing like the polished marketing executive who dumped me for not being successful enough. "Logan, I need to talk to you," she said, sniffling. "It's important." I was going to close the door in her face when she blurted it out. "I'm pregnant, and I think it might be yours." I laughed in her face. "We broke up almost a year ago. Try again." "No, you don't understand," she exclaimed, desperate now. "I'm about 3 months along. I was going to tell Brandon it was his, but we only slept together twice and I used protection both times. But you and that last night before we broke up." "Let me get this straight," I responded, crossing my arms. "You cheated on me with my brother, dumped me because I wasn't successful enough, dated my brother, and now you're pregnant and want me to believe it's mine after 9 months? I know how it sounds." She started crying harder. "But I did the math and did you also do the math on how many guys you've slept with since me? Like your boss, maybe?" Her face turned white. "How did you?" "Brandon called me last week, drunk off his ass. Seems he found some interesting texts between you and your boss. Quite detailed from what he said. Something about a weekend in the Poconos 3 months ago, right around the time you'd have gotten pregnant, by my math." She switched strategies quickly. "Logan, please. Brandon broke up with me. My boss won't acknowledge the baby. I need help with child support at least." "Not my circus, not my monkeys," I replied, borrowing one of Rachel's favorite lines. "Good luck with the paternity test." I closed the door and returned inside, where Rachel waited with 2 drinks and a sympathetic smile. She'd overheard everything. "You okay?" she inquired. "Never better," I declared, and meant it. Rachel is the complete opposite of Samantha. She's down to earth, laughs at foolish jokes, and believes that saving lives is more important than having a fancy job title. We met during my second week in Colorado, when I brought in a dog that I had found hit by a car on my way home from work. She saved the puppy, I got a date, and the dog we called Lucky is now living with us. We moved in together last month. It turns out that when you don't have to support your entire family financially, you can afford to treat yourself. My crummy studio flat and her 1-bedroom made little sense when we could pool our resources and purchase the cabin we both desired. Brandon texted me the next day, following Samantha's unexpected visit. "Thanks for the heads up about Samantha. Dodged a bullet there." I did not respond. He might have been appreciative for this one gesture, but it didn't erase years of him treating me poorly. My father is the only person I still periodically speak with. He truly apologized for how things went down. He stated that he had always preferred Brandon because he reminded him of himself, and he had taken me for granted because I never caused problems. He's currently trying to rebuild his life by better managing his diabetes and improving his relationship with me. It's a start. My aunt keeps me informed, even when I don't want her to. Apparently my mother had to work as a receptionist at a dentist's office. Brandon returned back home when he was unable to make his condo payments after losing his job. Tessa is having to manage full-time job and being a single mother without a free babysitter. A part of me feels horrible for them. They are still my family, and I do not wish them harm. But another part understands that this is exactly what they needed. They needed to learn to rely on themselves rather than on me. The inheritance situation was also settled. My father ensured that I received the whole $115,000 plus interest as part of the divorce settlement. I used it to purchase a better truck for the mountain roads around here. Every time I drive it, I think of my grandmother and how happy she would be that I finally have what she wanted. Looking back, my entire youth was spent preparing to be used and abandoned. The middle child was supposed to help with everything, but never complain, demand attention, or ask for anything in return. And now? I'm happy. I'm actually happy. And if you're reading this and seeing your own life reflected back at you, and you're the dependable one, the forgotten one, the one who provides and gives while receiving nothing in return, know that you deserve better. Sometimes the family you were born into is not the one you require. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do for yourself is to walk away. I'm Logan, the forgotten son, the reliable brother, the helpful uncle. And for the first time in my life, I am putting myself first. Rachel and I are now engaged, and she helped me choose the ring because she is great like that. Still no word from Mom, Brandon or Tessa, but Dad is coming to visit next month. Oh, Samantha's baby daddy turned out to be her boss. The paternity test was confirmed. Her job is in ruins, so she's moved back in with her folks. Living is the most effective kind of vengeance.